is Buffett's play on a company called BYD. He owns 10% of this company, and it is a potential Tesla competitor in China. Now, I'll go first on this. I know that Tom does not love Chinese stocks, and he said some things in the past about Chinese stocks. However, I do think that there are companies in China that are actual competitors to the behemoth that is Tesla for two reasons. Number one, Tesla's already had its run up and Buffett missed out on the Tesla train. He didn't get it. He didn't understand it, whatever. He missed out on the Tesla train. Even if Tesla becomes a really big company, it's going to be hard to invest in it right now at this market cap. Number two, the fact that China's government has these regulatory pressures and makes things hard is actually good for competitors of Tesla because it means they have a theoretically level playing field versus a actual free market where no company would ever be able to beat Tesla. So it kind of makes a little bit of sense here for Warren Buffett to have a 10% stake in a company that can compete with Tesla in a governmental run economy that probably won't let Tesla get the entirety of the market share. So I think this is actually not the worst play for Buffett owning 10% of the stock.
So you like this stock. So if you say you like this stock because Warren Buffett invested in it, I can't argue with that. That's a valid argument. If you say, well, Warren owns like what, 19% of this company, that's why I like it, fine. You won't get any pushback from me. I'm not going to be one of them people who's saying, well, Warren has been, he's a dinosaur, he has no idea what he's doing. People who say that are idiots. Obviously, he's been the OG, the elder statesman, he knows what the fuck he's doing. But your later argument is where I'm actually getting triggered. So what you're telling me here is like,
I think it's not a bad argument. It's a very innovative argument, actually.
Well, I think it's a very, if by innovative you mean foolish, then yes, it's very innovative. So what you're telling me is I'm not here to invest because I think Warren Buffett is a genius. I'm not here to invest because this is a fully vertically integrated battery manufacturer that makes everything in-house and is really the only competitor to Tesla. And it's not fake like NIO and XPeng and all the other Lufufu companies. This shit is for real. They have the capacity, the money, the manpower, the experience, the distribution. They're global. They sell everywhere, blah, 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 blah. And they just had 170% increase year over year in sales.
Those are good points for my argument. Well, that helps my argument for sure.
But you haven't made any of these points. You're saying in your argument, this is what really triggers me because at this point, I'm almost thinking you're trolling me. Is because you're saying, well, I'm going to invest because I think the Chinese government will really help this company grow because of how nationalistic and protective it is of its own golden gooses. Like if that's
China doesn't even allow Google or Facebook. They to an extent care about their companies over American companies.
So you're saying you want to invest because you think the Chinese government will wrap this company with the beautiful kind of loving hug, and then
I'm not saying I would invest. I'm saying I understand why Buffett could come to that conclusion based on a Chinese company.
Okay, so look, this is what you have to understand about China. China hugging you and giving you love is all nice and dandy until it just crushes you because you farted. This was what happened with Didi. Didi was having a really beautiful hug from the Chinese government, and then they did something that some people didn't appreciate, which is go public in the US without asking them first. They crushed the company. It's gone. They've annihilated the company.
Okay, so BYD should just ask first. Like they learned from the failures.
Okay. Jack Ma gave a speech in which he said he feels China regulation is a little bit more stiff than it's needed. Motherfucker is gone. Where is he? I mean, he's gone.
They stiffed him up.
And didn't do anything wrong. And IPO was supposed to be the biggest IPO in Asia, maybe globally.
Yeah, Tom. We've heard all these talking points are very old. My argument is Tesla will not unilaterally succeed like they've done in America and China, which means there's a chance for other competitors. And those competitors have a shot. You haven't answered that argument. You've just said
no. The argument isn't Tesla versus BYD. BYD is a terrific company. I'm not going to argue otherwise here. But what I'm saying here is that despite it's being probably Tesla's biggest competitor and somehow completely overlooked by mainstream media, which is actually very weird to me. The problem is that it's located in a country that has proven again and again that it has no stability to allow these companies to consistently flourish. At some point, they're going to be a threat to the hegemony and to the control of the Chinese Communist Party or to Xi himself. Or
and at that point, Buffett sells. He'll probably have a good run-up. That's my point.
You don't have time to do that. Trust me, nobody had time to get out when they crushed Didi, nobody had time to get out. When they decide to crush it, it's gone. There's no time to get out.
Hold on. You realize SoftBank put $20 million into Alibaba in 1999 and sold it for $100 billion. Like,
you realize
there's time to get out. There's time to get out. Yeah, that's not my point. WeWork has nothing to do with China. That's just a bad decision.
Bro,
they got out of a Chinese tech powerhouse at the tunes of hundreds of billions.
I don't understand the argument here. You're saying that Alibaba was I think it was actually the first big investment.
My argument is before China cut off Alibaba's head, SoftBank made money. Why can't Buffett do that here?
It's a completely different story. First of all, the fact is, I'll explain. The fact is that Alibaba was basically decapitated is another proof of my argument. The reason it was decapitated is because Ant was too much of a threat on the monetary system of China, on the control, which is something that
I don't
outside
disagree
of the
with that.
control,
I'm just saying
they
Buffett
didn't do
should
anything
leave
wrong.
before.
But look, for SoftBank, this was their Tesla. This was like Kathy Wood's Tesla. This was their first big investment. It played out. They could get out pretty much at any point and still was up huge. They're like pretty much like buying Tesla pre-IPO. That's not the case for Buffett and BYD. These investors are there based on quite recent investments. Buffett isn't there from the IPO. BYD is a very old company. For these investors to actually get a good return on their money, they have to bet on the fact that the Chinese government isn't going to do anything crazy and counterproductive to their own companies. And the reasonable person would say, well, why would they do that? Well, history shows us that they do. They're more interested in control and in control the narrative than they are in actually, cultivating their own company, their own industries. We've seen it happen again and again. So as far as, is this Tesla's biggest threat? Yes, for sure. But the sword on top of its head, the guillotine that can drop at any given moment, it just, look, like you say, it's just too much of a risk to say, well, yeah, can you say for sure this company is going to be around in 5 years and it's going to be around in the same format it is right now? It's not going to be broken apart by Chinese bureaucrats because of whatever reason?
That's why I wouldn't invest. I just think Buffett hopefully gets out before that. But I see your point that it takes time.
Buffett actually trimmed his holdings in this company just a few weeks ago. Slightly, but he did trim.
Well, let's see what Buffett ends up doing, and you might end up being right on this one again, and BYD goes to crap, just like DD Global, and we'll see how it.
I was right about Baba all along, but it actually gets offset with my being wrong about Palantir, so I have 0 points.
Yeah, Munger has a huge stake in Baba still, so we'll see how that turns out as well.
I think Munger forgot about it. You know how sometimes you have coins in your back pocket and you forget about them and you put it in the drawer? I think that's what happened.
300 million? Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this is Munger. He probably forgot he's invested in Baba. I'm telling you right now.